1300, and the access code is 156230. You can also visit us and get that same information and listen to the live stream by visiting GSW, which stands for Global Skywatch, gsw.bz, like business, /live, gsw.bz/live, and you can get all the information to call us or to listen to the live stream from there. Okay, we're going to have a few announcements first. The first things I want to do is introduce what the purpose of this is. Our purpose of our meeting is to get together, to coordinate projects, to develop new projects, to help educate the public. So we really want you to invite new people to this conference every Monday night, 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. You can go to listen to a live stream online, so you don't need to call in. You can just listen to the live stream, and we have a chat room next to the live stream as well, so you can actually just listen in, and you don't have to have anything to do with your telephone. That's the purpose of this. We also support each other. We network with each other. We help each other with projects because we're facing a big problem and we need each other's help. The website, once again, is globalskywatch.com. And if you want to find us on Facebook, search for the Facebook group called Chemtrails Global Skywatch. You can also join our Wigio group, which notifies you each week of the event and what's going on with the event. Just go to Wigio. Actually, go to gsw.bz/live, and there's a link there to go to the Wigio group. It's a special link that will take your email address, sign you up very quickly so that you can get notifications without any hassle. I want to go through these real quick because we've got a lot of energy and we've got two very important guests tonight. I want to get to them and I want to get to Q&A as soon as possible as well. One quick idea about projects that we can do is, has anyone thought of, and we'll chat about this in a little while, door hangers. We're trying to reach the public. We have signs, we have bumper stickers. What about crews of people that go door to door and cover neighborhoods and put doorknob hangers on, so that we can directly reach these people? Very inexpensive. Of course, you got to put some treads on your sneakers, so there is some labor involved, but it would be really neat to see teams of people going out and doing this. Another project we have going is called the End Geoengineering Project. This is where we have bumper stickers and yard signs that you can put in your front yard so that anyone going by can see them, and it has our website on there. And the endgeoengineering.com website is designed specifically to introduce new people to this subject. So please, if you have new people, that's a very good website to steer people to. Or you can steer them to globalskywatch.com as well. The End Geoengineering is a simplified, smaller site, but then it leads people off to other websites where they can get more detailed information. We want people to put bumper stickers on. We've got to go outside of our circle, so we need things that can reach other people. So we have yard signs, bumper stickers. We'll eventually have stickies for your windows and your cars and your businesses and other stuff as we get the money to make those. If you want to read in detail all about the End Geoengineering project, go to globalskywatch.com, scroll down and look for the link to the End Geoengineering project. There's a blue sign you'll see right not too far down on the home page. Just click on it and it will bring you right to the project's home. If you have an idea for a project, please contact me at admin, short for administrator, at globalskywatch.com, and let's talk about it and get it going. You can also visit the resources section on the Global Skywatch website. Under resources, you'll find links to labs. You can track flying jets. You can find posters, business cards, printed literature, talking notes. If you're giving a talk and you don't know what to talk about, well, there's a list of talking notes there. There's a whole bunch of resources that we're adding to weekly. Also want to remind everybody about the global events calendar. There's a link on globalskywatch.com for the global events calendar. It's a centralized place where we would like to have all events related to geoengineering, chemtrails, protest, demonstration, events, whatever it is that's related. Please expose it there, and I will personally put it on our Facebook group and expose it in other ways as well, so it gets as much coverage as possible. To get to the global events calendar, go to globalskywatch.com and click on the global events calendar in the center of the menu at the top of the page. We have a pretty big menu, but take your time and find it, get used to it, and please use it. A few miscellaneous items I want to cover. It's been a very intense week. There are a couple new features on the Global Skywatch website. We have 2 news feeds. One of them is a strictly geoengineering related news feed. If you want to see that, go to globalskywatch.com and click on the active news feed item in the upper link that has geoengineering and chemtrail related news items that will be added to almost daily. You can see the headlines from those news items. If you scroll down and look in the left sidebar, there's a little box that says Global Skywatch Engineering News Feed. You can click on any of those items and it will take you right to that news item. Also, we have a couple items, a couple forums within our forum complex where you can share your skill. If you have a skill you want to share because you're passionate about doing something to stop the world's largest crime against humanity in human history, please go to our forum, find the forum that says share your skill or I need help with my project, and use those forums to either find the help that you need or to share the skill that you need. We want to bring people who have skills together with people who have passion and get the work done that needs to get done. If you're a graphic arts designer, if you're a writer, if you're an editor, if you're a computer programmer, if you're a good speaker, if you have a lot of knowledge you want to interview, whatever it is, advertise yourself on these forums so we can bring talent and passion together. I also, if you have a compelling chemtrail story, I would like to do a 5 to 15 minute phone interview with you, and we're collecting on our website a list of chemtrail stories. There'll be audio. We'll just do it over the phone. We want interesting, compelling stories. Are all your plants dying? Are all of your trees dying in your neighborhood? Are your neighbors up in arms because you all discovered that your aluminum levels are skyrocketing? Whatever compelling story you have, please email it to admin@globalskywatch.com and let's get it out there. I do want to say that all of our hearts go out to Oklahoma. They obviously had a terrible situation today where a huge tornado has taken out an enormous amount of property, and there's obviously been a lot of life lost there. I hope that we will all pitch in and do what we can to help them. There's not much you can say about a situation like this. It's just horrible. I am personally very frustrated by it because many of us know who are on this call that weather control is much more sophisticated than we have been allowed to believe. And because there is a lot of sophistication in weather control technology, these types of things should never happen. And that's what I wrote when I first saw the post on our Global Skywatch Facebook group site, is this should never happen. Just wish I could say more. There's just nothing you can say. We need to help them. Don't be silent. Let's do what we can to help them and keep them, more than keep them in our thoughts. Let's just see what we can do to help those people who've just been through a complete disaster that should never have happened. It should never have happened. We've got articles on in fact, we have in our news feed, our Global Skywatch news feed, we just posted an interview that was done with the father of modern weather control. They were doing a very successful weather control work in the 60s. Imagine how far the technology's come now. Why are they not curtailing these events? I know why, because I understand the big picture of what's going on, because it's to somebody's advantage that horrible things happen. It's a horrible, horrible situation, and this kind of thing needs to stop. And this is part of the reason we have this conference, because the public needs to wake up to this so we can stop this type of madness from happening. If we can stop these weather events from happening, which I firmly believe we can, they should. I would like to mention one other thing is that it's been a very intense week. Like I said at the very beginning, we have been bombarded with trolls and disinformationalists. The attacks have been coming from all sides. I've heard it from a lot of different people. I've heard it from people from different groups. Why are the attacks coming? Because we're being effective, because we're making a difference. I hope that nobody gets discouraged. If you're on a group, including our group, and there are people who disagree with you or have different worldview than you, don't be discouraged by that, because we're all there to make a difference and put an end to geoengineering and chemtrails. If there are trolls on there, just notify the administrator and they'll be removed eventually. We don't let that kind of stuff go on. We don't allow links to disinformation sites. We try to be very strict about those things as soon as we find out that they're happening. But most of all, don't be discouraged by that. That is really a positive sign when you see those attacks happening, because we're being effective. All of you are being effective in getting this word out. And so they're trying to turn up the heat. Don't worry about it. Ignore them, move on, report them, move on, and let's get this job done. I am really proud of the group of people that we have here. And I am very honored and humbled to have been invited to be a co-host with Dane Wigington on his Saturday afternoon program. It's Geoengineering Watch, which is the name of Dane's website. Dane and his group there. It's geoengineeringwatch.org. He has a program on Saturdays now, and Richard Sachs, myself, and Dane are all there every Saturday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 11 a.m., 2 p.m. Eastern time at ucy.tv. If you want to hear us on Saturdays, we had our pilot show last week. You can see the whole collection of shows. Of course, there's only one now, but we're keeping a link to all the collection of shows on globalskywatch.com. Go to the forum, and at the top of the forum in the news feed section, you'll see Geoengineering Watch Radio. You can watch or listen to the first program there, and you can also get links to the program page where you can listen live on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time or 2 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, tonight we're going to start off with Kelly Daugherty, who is coordinating and started the San Francisco protests, which are very successful, which have grown, which are very popular, which so many of us are looking to as a template for starting events in our own area. And then we're going to hear from Patrick Roddie, who I call Fearless, because he has, well, you're going to find out why. You're going to find out why. And then we're going to have some question and answer session. We're going to have a question and answer session after that. So let's start out with Kelly. Let me see if I can get you on here, and we will chat. In fact, Kelly, the easiest way to do this, I'm going to put on the Q&A mode real quick.
Q&A session started.
Kelly, if you could just hit *6 on your phone, that'll ID you and allow me to get you on here. So just hit *6, and that'll save me from having to search through all of our callers on the console. Like I said, as soon as we're done talking with there you are, with Kelly, we're going to talk to Patrick. This is going to be interesting. There's been a lot going on this week. It's been very intense, but that's a good sign. Kelly, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. It's been pretty crazy spray days here in San Francisco. So, well, I'm doing well, but our skies and our city is not doing so well. And, it just encourages me more to continue with protesting every month. And it's nice because our group is, as we're going along with our protest, we're coming upon our third protest, which is going to be on May 29th at 11 a.m. at the San Francisco City Hall. And, we've gotten maybe 100 more people in our group since our last protest, and it looks like new people are showing up. We had a lot of new faces at our last protest, so that was encouraging. and I think it's coming along, and I see things congealing, and people are within the group. The core people within my group are starting. Patrick started a website for us for people who are not on Facebook to join us and join our protests, which is what is it? It's the Stop Spraying Us sf.com. I'm sure he will talk about that tonight. And so people are coming to that page, and then some people are moving to our Facebook page, to our actual protest page. So that's good. I'm seeing a lot of new faces. Our last protest was equally successful. We had about the same amount of people, some new faces. I'm hoping for our next protest, the people that didn't show up the last protest will come to our third protest along with the new faces that I saw. And we're just going to keep growing this. It's going to do nothing but grow. And my page is certainly growing with more people. And we've put out, in just 2 protests, we have put out over 1,000 pieces of information to our community about this horrendous chemical spraying that we have been inundated with for years. So people are being awakened, and we're going to continue doing our job.
Kelly, let me get personal for a second. What drives you to do this?
You know what? It's the immorality of it, first of all, and just the entire immorality of the spraying program is so disgusting to me. And the fact that they just blatantly lie to us and brainwash us through the advertising, through primetime television, through the news media, our local news media, stating that these chemical inundated sunsets are beautiful, and enticing other people to chime in on how beautiful these chemical sunsets are. And it's maddening. It's maddening. It's just, it can't go on like this. And that's what drives me. I know it drives a lot of people in my group, and I'm sure a lot of people on your page. We're just sick of it. It's disgusting, and we know what's going on, and we feel that it's our duty to let people know the truth. And that's just the bottom line of it, because I just can't possibly go on day by day watching us being sprayed this badly and having people not know anything about it, especially when you've got young children playing in this crap. I see it falling on our city. Today they're spraying us pretty horrendously. We had a clear 2-day weekend because we had the Beta Breakers, which is a running contest that we have yearly. They kept it pretty clear for that for 2 days. So you're able to see these beautiful blue skies, and then as soon as that goes away and the cameras are pulled away from all these people from different countries coming into our city, they just start spraying us again to no end. And it's just, it makes you feel like crap. It just makes me feel like crap. It just makes me feel like, I don't want to have to think about this.
Kelly, isn't it amazing that they put this in front of everybody's face? You mentioned this a minute ago, where they have pictures of sunsets and say, "Oh, isn't that beautiful?" Does that just drive you nuts?
Oh, it's maddening. I can't even, if I could if I could say some choice swear words at this point, I would. It's maddening, and I see it, and even on Facebook, if you go to your local meteorologist Facebook page, you'll see them doing it, and it's completely conditioning. And the meteorologists have access to really some very high satellite imaging. They know what's going on.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that meteorologists wouldn't know this. I've kind of felt that way when I contacted the state of Maine a couple of years ago and had detailed, long conversations with 2 people who are at the top. One of them was the head of the Bureau of Air Quality. Another one was right below him, and they just said this was they just implied that this was normal air traffic. And my thought is, if you don't know this isn't normal air traffic, how is it that you're working to protect? You're working at the head of the department to protect air quality, and you don't know. You don't know that this isn't normal. How can you be in that position and be so what word should I say? Ignorant of that fact.
Because they're not ignorant.
Ah.
Why? They're
Ah.
lying. They're absolutely lying. And okay, let's give them the benefit that they don't want to lose their job and they don't want to lose their paycheck. But how can you go home to your children at night? And, you know, I went to our local meteorologist on Channel 2, and I had stated, how can you know this is going on, how can you go home to your children at night knowing that you're not just lying to the public, millions of people, but you're setting that example for your children. And I was just totally 86 off from every, the online, on the email, through the phone. They just 86 me because they just don't want to weaken someone's constitution, moral constitution or immoral constitution, to break down and actually start speaking the truth on this. But I'm just curious how long this is going to go on, because I'm just hoping that some of our political leaders or religious leaders or anyone, social leaders, someone who has some sort of authority will actually get the guts to come out and stand with us, the people who are brave enough to stick their necks out for everyone, for the world, to tell them that we're being poisoned and this is not right. And we are brave enough to stand up against this absolute atrocity and, as you say, the biggest crime in history.
The other night, a couple nights ago, they sprayed us with the metallic chemical type of chemtrail. That's my own name for it because that's what it tastes like. And for those who are new to this, to our Monday Night Live, I say this a lot, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but for people who are new, there's a small percentage of the population that is real sensitive in their sense of taste and smell, and I'm one of them. Chemtrails taste and smell horrible to me. They're overwhelming to me, and most people around me will not smell and taste them. Well, the other night we had so therefore I recognize different types. They spray different types on a different schedule. Between 10 and midnight, almost every night they hit us with what's called the metallic chemical. The other night I had to take 2 spoonfuls of capsicum because that type that they started spraying causes me to have tremendous inflammation. It was horrible. I had to sit up on the edge of the chair. This is exactly what I went through in 2011 when I had a chemtrail-induced heart attack. And the thing that I think about, Kelly, is that I'm kind of a tougher guy. But what about those people who maybe are older or more frail? How many people have already died? I had a heart attack and lived. A chemtrail-induced heart attack that all evidence points to barium as being the cause, barium toxicity. What about all those people who are not that tough? How many people have already died from this? That's something that goes through my mind all the time, Kelly.
Well, I have to say, just to add this in, I had a mid-20-something photographer friend. I didn't know her face-to-face. I knew her through Facebook. And she had asthma. She had asthma since she was a little girl, but she was very healthy, mid-20-something woman, and she died suddenly. This was about maybe like 6 months before I realized what was going on. And she just died from an asthma attack suddenly in her car. And after I found out what was going on, because I was very baffled over her death, like how could this vibrant mid-20-something woman who had asthma medication, she didn't have asthma that bad, I don't think. It didn't, debilitate her to the point where she couldn't leave her house. But how did this mid-20-something woman who had 3 young children, by the way, just die one day from asthma when she was outside in her car? And when I found out about this spraying, I thought, well, I know exactly how she died, because we all know that the EPA states that particulates are harmful to our health. Well, we're being inundated not just with particulates, but nanoparticulates, which they have not even done any, I mean, if they have done studies on nanotechnology and nanoparticles, they've not really published any of this. And this is going into our lungs. And they know asbestos is completely harmful to us, and we were drilled to, they drilled that in our heads in the 80s, and they took everything apart in the buildings that had the asbestos in it, and schools and buildings. And now what? Now they're spraying us with nanoparticles? It
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah, and a couple of, Kelly, the smaller the particle, the more the surface area per volume. So what you have is the smaller the particle, the more reactive. And so guess what? Even if you're not immediately feeling the effects of the spraying, your lifespan is being shortened. That is science. The smaller the particle and the more numerous the particle in the air, the shorter your lifespan will be.
Yeah, well, it seems pretty obvious to me what is going on here, and we're being harmed. We're being harmed in a great way, and many of us are being harmed without even knowing about it. For us who know about it, we can close our windows. I mean, not that that completely protects us, because we all know that it doesn't, but at least we have that knowledge that we know that we're being sprayed, and we can put wet masks on, or we can do things to cut down on the amount of damage it's doing to us. But I think there's millions and millions of people who don't know that they're being sprayed, and they're out with their infants, they're out with their children, they're out with the elderly, and they're out with their own physical problems, if they have respiratory problems to begin with. This is not, or even heart problems. This is not good. We all know it's not good. And the fact that we're being lied to so blatantly by scientists, by meteorologists, by our own government, by our local officials, who know, many of them know what's going on.
And Kelly, you know what else? This is a vaccination from the sky. When I breathe in chemtrails as a very sensitive person, and I didn't choose to be this way, I just, I am this way, and because I am this way, I feel an obligation to speak out about this because I'm kind of privy to how dangerous this is. If it's affecting me now, I'm your canary in the coal mine. So I have a duty to speak out because I have a conscience, and other people need to start protecting themselves and resist this. And one thing that happens with me, because I have such an inflammatory reaction, because as Dr. Russell Blaylock explains in an article that we have on our globalskywatch.com website in the health section, Dr. Russell Blaylock explains how incredibly inflammatory aluminum is. And of course, the smaller the particle, the more surface area it has to react. And with me, within 15 seconds of tasting and smelling this stuff in the air, my inflammatory reaction starts in my organs, in my heart, in my joints, in my muscles. What does that tell us? What does common sense tell us? If we're having this reaction, or I am having this reaction, these particulates are small enough to pass right through your lungs and go in your bloodstream. What do we call that, folks? That is a vaccination.
Absolutely. That is absolutely. And that, I just read an article not too long ago about Bill Gates stating that he's got this great idea for vaccinating third world countries from the sky. Well, I mean, that pretty much tells me that they've either already done it to us. I mean, they can vaccinate us with anything. I mean, all you have to do is read between the line with these people, and it's the same people. It's the same people that pop up over and over again. And if you follow what they say through their forums that they have, or their talks, or their papers, you can get a pretty clear idea, because they all fund one another. You can get a pretty damn clear idea of what is being done to us.
And you know what? What about now?
That it's bad.
What about now, Kelly? Have you heard about the vaccinating mechanical insects?
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
I'm not making this up. Insects like mosquitoes that are actually mechanical or injected with a vaccine. So when they bite you, you're being injected with a vaccine. Or let's turn the page a little bit. What about mechanical? Here's a whole nother subject: mechanical bees, because all the bees are dying. So now what are they coming out with? Mechanical bees. So now Monsanto, and in the article I read, it said Monsanto's coming out with this. We actually have bees that will pollinate. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh, I actually read some articles about that. I don't know, maybe a year ago, and it was about the fact that there was some, I don't know the name of the company, but there was some or study or research facility that was trying to study why our bees were dying and of the collapse of the hives. And I guess I'm not sure what their work was, but obviously they were coming to some conclusions, and Monsanto went and bought them out. So obviously they didn't want this information to get out on what was happening to the bees. So I don't know the exact name of the facility that Monsanto bought out, but they were doing research on why all of our bees were dying. And who butted in to buy that research center? Monsanto. And then you turn around and you look and you see that Monsanto is making their own genetically modified bees for their own genetically modified crops. And as we know, the aluminum that they are spraying in the air, and we have tons of tests worldwide to show this fact that they are spraying us with aluminum, one of the chemicals they're spraying us with. It's sterilizing our soils, so our independent farmers cannot grow their crops correctly. And what does Monsanto have? Not only do they have modified bees, but they now have an aluminum resistant seed, and they have a drought resistant seed, because we all know, and the geoengineering scientists state this, that spraying, or what they state that they propose to spray, which is a complete lie because we all know what's going on, what they propose to spray, all these particulates in the air, disrupts our rainfall. So what has America seen? What has our country seen? We've been in some of the worst drought that we've ever seen in a very long time. And so Monsanto has an aluminum resistant seed and a drought resistant seed. And what are they going to force all these farmers to do? Either they're going to force them out of business, and Monsanto's farming buddies are going to take over their land, or they're going to force these poor farmers to be reduced to using these genetically modified seeds in order to combat the onslaught of chemical and drought that we've been forced upon in this country. It's sickening.
Is it right? Would you say that they are on the road to owning nature?
Oh. Oh, they're trying. I mean, I think they're pretty much there. And the reason why they are there is because they pretty much own. If you go, and I think there's some models, if you can look up Monsanto online, if you look up Monsanto in government, then you look into the image sections on Google, there's been some savvy people who have put together some models showing how Monsanto is not only just in our agricultural department, but they're in our EPA, they're in everything. They're in everything in our government. So I don't know. I know they have proliferated many of our government public agencies. They've taken over them, and it's a revolving door. And they've been in a revolving door since, I think the Carter era is when you can start seeing how they've built up within our government agencies. They own everything now, and what people don't realize is that Monsanto started off as a chemical manufacturing company for our military. back in the 60s and maybe even before. So, what does it take to just, okay, what we're going to do, what we're going to do is just label this military chemical factory as an ag company. And then what we're going to do is just have them take over all of the food. And when you've got the military, really a military department running our food department, military chemical department running our food department, that should set off a lot of alarms.
Now, a minute ago, you mentioned about the drought, and I know that I've had interviews and talks with Dane, who is very, very knowledgeable about this area. This is his field, where you can induce drought. First of all, you can induce rain by putting what are called condensation nuclei into the atmosphere, and these are little tiny particles that water condenses around, and as the water condenses and grows, it becomes rain. Well, similarly, you can stop rain or prevent rain by oversaturating the atmosphere with condensation nuclei. What happens then is there's not enough moisture in the atmosphere to condense around all these particulates, so it never turns into rain. And the pattern that I've seen here in Maine over and over again throughout the last several years, and this year has been different in a way, but the previous several years is that every time we had a front coming in 12 hours before this rain front was supposed to rain on us, and the weathermen would all be crying, rain, rain, 90% chance it's going to rain, they wouldn't rain. Over and over and over. And 12 hours before that front comes through, they would nail us really, really, really hard. So let's ask this question. If they can control the weather, I posted a video today. It's Alex Jones' video on our news feed, interviewing the father of weather. He's called the father of weather control. In the 60s, they were steering hurricanes, killing hurricanes, building hurricanes up, causing rain. I mean, they were doing tremendous things in the 60s. If they have the power to do this, why are we still having disastrous weather?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. I would like to know the answer to that also. Well, obviously we have some very questionable people running these programs. But as we know, or most of us know, they do have weather derivatives on Wall Street now. We all know what's going on Wall Street, and they make a hell of a lot of money off from disasters now. So what people do is they bet on disasters, they bet on drought, they bet on floods and tsunamis, and they make big money off from them. So we all know that the people on Wall Street are just raking it in from some of these disasters. And once you do the research on all this, the focus becomes very clear on what is going on.
Yeah, and not only that, but if you have a drought-resistant seed, well then,
Making a lot of money.
That's right. I mean, they've got it set up so they make money on disaster, they make money on success, they make money being the contractor for the spray programs, they make money on every angle, coming and going on this whole thing, and and the whole time they're making money after they cause a disaster. And then, in this thing in Oklahoma, you'll have FEMA go in, and you've got the contractors who are supplying all the supplies and all the money that's going to change hands in that disaster, and somebody's going to be making money from it, and it's just makes the stomach turn. Yeah, it is evil. I mean, we forgot in the world that evil exists. That evil people without consciences roam the earth and they rise to high places. And people without consciences tend to rise much more quickly. And of course, these days you can't even get to a high place unless you're a player, unless you play the game. So, on that note, you're doing something about it. Why don't you tell us about your upcoming event and what you'd like people to know about it?
Well, we are meeting again for our protest, and we're going to continue doing this. And for those people out there listening, if you have not become, if you're concerned about what's going on and you understand, whether it be in a small degree or a large degree, that we are being sprayed, and you have not become involved in your local town, your local city, you need to find your group, or even make your group on Facebook or your own website. And I know, Russ, you help people do that type of thing. And you need to join your protest. Our protest in San Francisco is ongoing perpetually every month. It's the last Wednesday of every month. We get together at San Francisco City Hall. We start on the Van Ness side of San Francisco City Hall. This month, the day lands on Wednesday, May 29th at 11 a.m. at San Francisco City Hall. We all get together, and many of us have flyers. We have the DVDs, What in the World Are They Spraying? Why in the World Are They Spraying? We have our banners, we have our signs, we have our voices, and we stand up against this atrocity. And the only way we are going to have any sort of influence on stopping this heinous, immoral, evil crimes, not just a crime, it's crimes, because there's a lot more involved with not just taking our air supply away, as we've spoken about. The only way we're going to stop this is if we come together in force and show them that we understand what's going on and we are against it. So if you are in the Bay Area, or if you're in California, or even if you're out of state and you want to visit San Francisco, please come on May 29th to our protest at 11 a.m. at San Francisco City Hall, and we would be happy to see your beautiful face there, and join us in standing up against this evil program.
Is it empowering and really enjoyable to get out and do it?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm starting, I'm feeling like, it's been a couple weeks since our last protest, and I'm starting to feel like, well, maybe we're not protesting enough. Maybe once a month is not enough, because I just feel like this is so important, and it just feels like I have withdrawal symptoms. And even though we've only had 2 protests, it's like a weight off your back after you have a protest and you go out and you talk with the community. And many people are just like, wow, I've always wondered what all these lines were in the air, or I've wondered why my health has not been so good, or my colds have not gone away, or I haven't been able to breathe well enough. And it's just really you have no idea what a wonderful feeling, or maybe you do know because you do so much work. People who have not gone out and done anything or feel too afraid to do it, all of those fears melt away when you see the look on people's faces, when you clue them into what is going on, because things start to click. And when you can help people understand what is going on, so they can take action into protecting themselves and passing this on to their family and to their neighbors, their loved ones, then we've done a real great thing for people. And that wonderful feeling does not go away. And it is important for us to all come together and speak up, voice up. Let's give our officials some courage to come out and also speak against this atrocity. I know if we get the numbers out there that we can do this, and we can become successful in bringing this out to the public's knowledge, and having these people admit that they've been spraying us for a very long time now, over a decade and longer, I'm sure. But for the past decade, they've really gone at it with us. And we need to pull them out of their caves and shed a light on this and make sure that people know what is going on with this heinous spraying program.
Yeah, the politicians are going to side with whoever they think is going to win the battle.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works.
out there.
Yeah, if they think the power brokers are going to win, then they're going to keep denying it. But when they see the people rising up and they're like, uh-oh, this whole thing's going to shift. We better go start, siding with them. That's the way it works. This is mob rule, in a sense. This is the way politics works. That's why getting out there and teaching people about this, I think, is so critical. So this is the last Wednesday of every month at San Francisco City Hall, the Van Ness side of City Hall. The next one is May 29th, 11 a.m. So the last Wednesday of every month is your opportunity. If you're anywhere near, if you're in California or you love to travel, go be part of this and make everybody who passes by wonder what the heck is all this fuss going on, right, Kelly?
Absolutely. Last Wednesday of every month. And I know you have Patrick coming on, and we love Patrick. He is a part of our group. He is such a great person, and he's been going at this for a long time, and he is fearless. He will go after people who are selling this to the unsuspecting public. So I look forward to hearing him speak about his recent, he just went to, they had Hacking the Sky over in Berkeley, and there was a good group of people from our group, our protest group, who went, and boy, did they raise hell in the house. And I'm very, very proud that I have Patrick as a part of our group, and the people who went to that Hack the Sky in Berkeley.
Kelly, you're one of those people. There's so many people that I have contact with these days. I've never met you in person. I've never met so many of my friends who are working together in this in person. But in the chat room right now, Kelly, we love you! All caps, exclamation points, going on and on.
Oh man, I love everyone so much. Your whole site, the Global Skywatch, it's really a great. It's a great group of people, and we all prop each other up on our hard days and on our good days, and it's growing like crazy. And yeah, we've got people in there swarming the disinfo agents, but that is a good sign because they obviously know that our numbers are growing, and guess what? They're not going to have any power against us because we're getting bigger and bigger, and their lies just don't work anymore because we have the truth, and the truth shines, and the lies just fall quickly with the truth.
That's just
the bottom line.
That is the bottom line. That's exactly right. And I always love having you on here, Kelly. You're an inspiration. I love that you are organizing and working in San Francisco so hard to make this happen. Truly, I mean, I get like goosebumps when I'm getting them right now. I just, I love passionate people. We have to have passion in our lives, and you have got that. You care, you love, you are concerned about what's going on, and these people who are not educated, you're showing them the love and the concern to go out and get on the street and teach them. And that's an act of love. So people, please go stopsprayingus.us.com. Do I have that right, Kelly?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for being on. We'll have you on here again. And everybody remember May 29th. I'll announce this again at the end. Hopefully I'll remember because my mind is always scattered. And we're getting a plume hitting us right now. Like I said, between 9 and 11 or midnight every night. So Kelly, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Take care.
You too. You too. You have a great night and all the best. And we will have you on here again. And I want to hear how it went.
Thank you, Russ. I'll be back.
All right. Good night. Now, Patrick Roddie is also with us. He's a friend of the folks in San Francisco. If you're watching on the live stream, I've had a chat with Patrick. I've watched his videos, a couple of his videos, and I talk about goosebumps. If you're watching on the live stream right now, take a look and take a listen to what I'm going to play for you.
They compare you to Joseph Mengele for doing research in your office. It's like, this guy accused me of being a liar. So it's like, I'd like to apologize to people. Oh, yeah. At least if they paid for tickets, it's okay.
It's a good question. You saw Dr. Pachauri's statement that there's been no warming for 17 years. You saw that?
I don't know about that, no. But anyway, it has leveled off over the last.
Yeah, it's plateaued, and the satellite data says there's been no warming for 23 years.
Well, I don't know about that.
The RSS satellite.
Okay, well, I'm fully confident in the basic science of climate change.
But the models were saying back in 2000 there was going to be an end to snow. There's going to be no more snow, and we've had brutal winters for several years.
All right. Well, that gives us a taste of it. Patrick is the one.
It gets better.
Oh, well, we're gonna play another clip of it in just a minute. But this is Patrick. Patrick is fearless. Patrick is the one that gets in their face and makes them accountable for what they're saying. How you doing tonight, Patrick?
I'm doing great. Well, apart from the weather, the spraying today has been horrendous. It's a different. We've got a different kind of trail.
Yeah.
They're doing a north-south line thing with the metallic drippy stuff, and it's wave upon wave. It's just relentless. It's horrendous. But apart from that,
yeah. On a little side note, before it scrolls off, somebody in the chat room just said in the 70s they said we were heading into an ice age.
Oh yeah, I know.
Let me just say right now, when I was in elementary school, I was taught that everything was cooling and we were headed for another ice age. That's exactly what I was taught when I was in elementary school. I remember it, and in junior high school.
Well, the BBC this week has said that there's been no warming since 1998. So I think we may actually be going into a new ice age, which sort of derails their whole selling point. Oh, we were doing this to prevent global warming. No, they're not. So,
well, are they causing global warming? I mean, are they causing warming?
It could be, because it did start. The cooling did stop, according to the BBC, at 98, and that's when the major program started. But I think it's more to do with solar radiation than chemtrails. Although there has, they've also measured that there's like a 20+% drop in solar radiation actually reaching the surface of the planet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing. But going back to what Kelly was saying earlier about the preventing the rain. January and February of this year in California has been the driest since 1921, and they've been nailing us on a daily basis. So yeah, they're really screwing with us badly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting reports everywhere. It's getting really, really bad. Do you think there's a coincidence that Monsanto protest is coming up in 5 days, and they've been nailing us for the past week? Are they trying to make people sick and tired and feel hopeless, or what?
I don't know. Could be. On a local, I sort of thought that. Because they had this Hacking the Sky debate last Thursday, and the week leading up to that, there was all clear skies. So, because he was this person, I call him other things, was on like local radio, the public radio and stuff, saying, oh, we're not doing it, and we might need to do it later on for global warming and so on. So they didn't do it then. But when we owned him, then suddenly we got battered, and I think that might have been. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's been bad.
Well, I tell you, I'm getting reports that it's been bad everywhere. Can you tell me more about this clip? Who is it? You're up
so
against?
This guy, I don't know. The last time we spoke, I was talking about how I classify these people. The decision makers I call the scumbags, and all their minions are the douchebags. So this guy is a douchebag. And his name is Ken Caldera. He's on the he works at the Carnegie Institute at Stanford. He's on Bill Gates' payroll, and it's his job, or he drew the short straw or whatever, to go and sell this thing and give it like a little green tinge and how awesome this is, and we might need this in the future. And back in a couple of years ago, they gave a speech at the debate at the San Francisco Public Library, And John Fitzgerald, who was running for Congress back then, I was his campaign manager, completely owned him after the debate. He just came up with fact after fact after fact, and he was all flustered and ran away. And the only answer he could give was, "Oh, well, but Dick Cheney doesn't believe in global warming, so there can't be, some conspiracy," which is the lamest excuse. And in fact, he came up with that same excuse again on Thursday. It was rather pathetic. So I had my turn with him. So I had this. I had the data from the head of the UN IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change had admitted that there's been no warming for 17 years. Mm-hmm. So I confronted him on that. Then I pointed out that their models were bogus, and he said that there was going to be no more snow back in 2000. Clearly, there's been snow. And then I had this great clip of him back when he was at Lawrence Livermore, which is a nuclear weapons lab, and he's sort of casually discussing how all these monstrous things that they were planning on doing, like setting off H-bombs underwater to send tidal waves over coastal cities. And then he said, "Oh, and we also thought, well, maybe you could put pathogens in a cloud and let it like rain down on your enemies and cause biological and germ warfare." So I said, I said, like, here, you're on record as proposing, putting pathogens in the cloud. And he said, "Oh, that's not true." I said, "Oh, actually, I have it here on my iPhone," and I played it to him. So, and then he was he tried to dig his way out of that, but failed miserably. It was rather nice.
So it sounds like to me, Patrick, that you're basically just confronting these people with the truth and with things that they said in the past, because they
it's easy. All this stuff's in, it's right out in the open. I mean, I have in front of me, like, if you go into Google Scholar, you type this guy's name in, and you find all these papers. And here, let's see. This one is Preparing Climate Engineering Responses to Climate Emergencies, Aerosol Particle Design and Stratospheric Delivery Options. They're not, it's all there. All you have to do is just say, "Hey, you're a co-author on this. What the hell are you doing?" And you don't have to be anybody could do this. And it's actually kind of fun.
That is great. You're kind of giving me goosebumps already.
Yeah, these guys are absolute scumbags. Oh, sorry, douchebags. This guy's a douchebag. He works for scumbags. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we got to get our terms straight, right?
Yeah.
So you're basically confronting these people with stuff they've said in the past. They lie at the moment. It's convenient for them to lie, right?
And we bust them on it. And the thing is, like earlier in the thing, he was in the Q&A section before. We were all given little pieces of paper to write questions on. So I thought, oh, this is going to be lame. But to give him credit, the moderator of the debate actually asked some questions like, "Hey, are you chemtrailing us?" And another one was, "What about the things that you're proposing? Could these be harmful to health?" And then this guy says, and someone said, "Oh, what about aluminum?" And he says, "Yeah, well, what about aluminum?" And Ken Caldera says, "Oh, I don't know any research about aluminum." And then John Fitzgerald was sitting beside me, saying, "Yeah, you were sitting right beside David Keith. You're right there when he's talking about it." And then I have the clip of David Keith talking about how awesome spraying us with aluminum is.
Well, Patrick, what drives you to do this?
Right now it's rage, but love. I'm pissed. I'm just angry. I mean, I try not to be, in my activism in general, you always got to come from a place of love. Because if you get into their headspace, it'll destroy you. That's just an evil, dark place. We're dealing with sociopaths who have no empathy at all. And if you let hate come into you, it hurts you more than the other person. It destroys you. It's like the, I think Poe wrote a short story about it. It's so you gotta. But
yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not really sure, but right now, today, I'm kind of pissed because it's just.
Well, what's getting you today? What is it? What is it?
Oh no, the spraying today is horrendous.
So you go outside and you see the spraying, and it just
Oh
makes
no,
it.
no, I do.
Well,
I
you don't
open my
go.
windows very briefly.
Okay,
Open
so
my
you look
breath and
out.
take pictures.
So you look out your window, and when you see that spraying,
Oh yeah,
it gets
I mean,
under
I
your
didn't
skin.
even go anywhere from my window. I'm seeing all this stuff. All the stuff I post up in my on Facebook is like from my apartment. So actually, today I actually went up on the roof to
Really?
get a panorama like
Yeah,
video thing.
yeah.
But you don't have to go anywhere. All you do is like look up. Everywhere. And it's not like my apartment has been singled out. It's just all over the damn place as you're getting reports. Well, all over the U.S. and all around the world.
Now, for you personally, what is it that bothers you the most? Is it that the plants are dying, that people are suffering? What is the damage that gets
It's
in?
not so much the damage; it's because it is so incredibly wrong.
Mhm.
It's just wrong, and I just I can't let I can't let that go. Other stuff that's wrong. I'm active with, like things like the vaccines and when they lie to us about 9/11 and all these sort of things. When we're getting screwed over, and I also see like these people who are, I wouldn't say blissfully ignorant because they're actually getting damaged by it. But you see these children and people who are just damaged from all this stuff, from the poisons in the food, water, vaccines, everything, and the air as well. And it's just so blatant; it's in your face. But also, I think as I made it my sort of thing to expose the scumbags, 9/11 was a great one for doing that because you could just point at Building 7 and say, hey, doesn't that look kind of suspicious? You should look into it, and then off you go, send them down the rabbit hole. But with this, you can all you have to do is like point up and say, hey, that's not right. Look into it. That can also send them down, looking for some truth to what's really going on in the world and how to protect themselves.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
As you're.
I,
Go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
yeah, I just don't want these assholes to win. Sorry if that was a bad word.
Well, the thing. As I sit here, I told everyone. I said just a minute ago that we're just getting our first metallic chemical plume of the night, and it's starting to get hard on us. It's starting to settle in real
Yeah.
heavy. This one was obviously sprayed a little off in the distance because if it comes on us real quickly, if it goes from 0 to 100% or whatever intensity it's going to reach very quickly, then it probably came down and it didn't have too much time for the edges to diffuse. Anyway, this one's kind of coming in more slowly than most, so it's probably blowing in. It's probably already reached the ground level, maybe a few miles from here. It's blowing in. But this is
Mm-hmm.
what I go through every night. This is I have a reminder, and it's not just the nighttime because today, I mean, I was wearing my mask all day, and as you were speaking, I just for the first time since this live Monday Night Live started, I've had to put this mask over my face. And this is what reminds me the pain is it just grows and grows and it continues and it goes through the night and I have to stay up all night and sleep in the morning hours because I can't sleep when they're spraying this stuff at night. They do it hardest here. And I'll tell you, that's a real, that's what gets under my skin personally. Now, I've got this video queued up here. I stopped it at 5 minutes, 31 seconds. And
Okay.
we've got a nice shot of what's his name? Uh,
Mr. Caldera.
Caldera.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking David Keith because he's the other one who Dane actually confronted him, and
Yeah.
that's when he made the statement about aluminum. But
Mm-hmm.
can you tell me what do you want to explain? I'll play a little more of this because you said it gets better, right?
Well, it's basically when I asked him about what he said at Lawrence Livermore, and he says, "Oh, I never said that." I said, "Oh, here it is." And I just play it to him, and then there's the audio of what he said, which is chilling, because he's talking about mass murder and such. Yeah, we thought we might do this, as if it's like nothing. But anyway.
Well, the thing people need to, one of my favorite subjects is learning how to detect deception, because I worked in a political party years ago, and that party, it was a smaller political party, and it was actually infiltrated. And we
Mm-hmm.
and I have a whole story to talk, and that's part of why I tell people I think I was born for this issue because I've learned about how this deception works. I smell and taste chemtrails. I moved to a place where they're spraying like crazy, trying to get away from another place they were spraying like crazy. I've been a skywatcher all my life. I've been into just, there's all this whole combination of
Mhm.
things. I took flight lessons. I lived in a military. All these things, kind of make me just primed for this issue. And one of
Mhm.
the things, one of the things that I like that I learned about years ago was deception. How these people deceive you. Now look at this guy's face. If you're on the live stream, look up at this guy's face, and he looks like a normal guy, probably. Someone you might.
I don't know. I wouldn't. Well, okay.
Oh,
I'll be
well,
polite. Oh, I wouldn't say that.
well, yeah. I mean, he's someone you could see in a business office or selling real estate or
Oh yeah, yeah.
whatever. You can't look at somebody's face and say that's a sociopath. But what you're saying is that these people say one thing one day, and then a week, month, year later, they're completely contradicting themselves when it's convenient for them to support their lie. And, and,
Um,
and,
well, he actually uses lawyering techniques because we had this little Twitter war, and because when I posted the video, I actually we were just on the group. We said, okay, how are we gonna get at this guy? And someone said, oh yeah, maybe he's got a Facebook page. We tried. Some members of the group tried friending him, but apparently there's no way of posting on his web in his Facebook page. And then someone said, "Oh, hey, he's got a Twitter account, and I've got a Twitter account." So I thought, "All right, cool." So I posted at Ken Caldera. Caldera admits global warming leveled off, discusses adding pathogens to the clouds, which doesn't show up on his public feed. With the way Twitter works, if you just send someone a message, it doesn't show up in their feed. But then he replied, pushing it onto his feed, saying, "Oh, isn't this a bit silly? You, Patrick Roddie, have discussed adding pathogens to the clouds. Does that make you a bad person? Question mark." So I again replied and said, "But I'm not paid by the Gates Foundation to sell the public on spraying toxic chemicals in their skies." So, had a little Twitter war. Yeah, so
but he's
he,
But my point is that he lies without flinching. Does he? Does he not?
oh, clearly, but he was sweating though. He's not that good at it. I mean, I've known true psychopaths.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I dated one, and they have no tell at all. He was flustered and sweating,
Yeah.
so he's not the best one they could use. I think because he does look sort of, sort of. He looks non-threatening. So I think that's why he was chosen to play this role.
Yeah.
Um,
Very important point, Patrick. He was chosen to play this role.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, he drew the short straw. They needed someone to do it. To put the whole green thing in. And so eventually, when it does come out, they'll say, "Oh yeah, because we're trying to save you from what happened in Oklahoma today," when they're actually behind it.
When
You know,
yeah, yeah.
And and you can't say, oh, he's just following orders, but he actually went out. He applied for grants to get this stuff, so he is not innocent at all. He's fully aware of what's going on. I mean, he worked at a weapons lab discussing this stuff. He knows exactly what it's about. And it's also other things that I personally experienced. I mean, yeah, we talk about the different kinds of sprays and the metals, and because most people concentrate on the weather aspect of it, using the nanoparticulate aluminum, barium, strontium, and so on.
Yeah.
But I've seen like the webby stuff fall down. I've actually got samples of it. And another time I was driving, and it was a clear day, and I had these little gloopy drops, like someone like sprayed like little just a little sprinkling on the windshield. And since it stopped, I didn't bother, using the windshield wipers. That stuff solidified into this hard stuff, which I still can't even get off with a razor blade.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of creepy stuff that they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you based on taste and smell that there is a variety of things that are being sprayed that are completely different from each other.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that you said about drawing the short straw, and he was assigned to this.
That's no excuse.
Well, I know, I agree, but I'm saying, I mean, these people have free will, but they're doing this. People are assigned to roles.
Yeah.
And when people understand how the deception works, that these people, and this is great talk for another program, but the deception that goes on is very well coordinated. These people are assigned to play these roles and tell these lies to promote. They're promoters. in a way.
Oh, that's what he's doing. He's selling it.
Selling it, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, I tell you what, we've got this clip up. We're at 5 minutes and 31 seconds.
Okay.
You want to set that up a little bit? I'd like to play a little more of it.
Okay. So
just remind us what we're looking at.
I should pull this up myself. I'm not quite sure what 5 minutes is. Is this after that big heart where you can see all the footage of the spray?
Well, let me play here. Listen to the audio, and then I'll stop it, and you can see if you can hear.
For several years.
Okay, you're showing snowfalls are now just a thing of the past. You're showing the
just hit play after that slide.
Okay, here we go.
I'll make you a wager that this next decade will be warmer than the previous decade, and we can send an email and we can settle up in year 2023 if you like.
So what was he saying there? What was that all about?
Oh, he was. I was saying his models were bogus, and he said, "Oh, but no, I'm confident. I'm confident in the science, you know, and I'll bet you that in 10 years it's going to be warmer." And I bet him a beer on it.
Hey, if you wanna watch the live stream, you can be on the phone and watch the live stream at the same time. The timing will be different because there's about a 20. Right. I'm talking to everybody else. You can watch a live stream by going to GSW for Global Skywatch, gsw.bz/live, and then just click on the little icon that has the Live Now emblem on it. So if anybody wants to go see these videos, I also want to remind everybody that if you want information about this call, go to globalskywatch.com /live. globalskywatch.com meet, actually. globalskywatch.com, either one will work. globalskywatch.com /meet, MEET, for our Monday night live meeting. Yeah. So you can see the live stream here. We've got a live stream, and we also are on the conference call. For people who are just listening to the audio, the phone number to call in is 559-726-1300. That's 559-726-1300. And the access code is 156230. Every Monday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, we're looking at this clip. Let's watch a little more of this clip on the live stream.
I'll put a beer on it.
Okay.
Have a beer.
Send me an email, and we'll write down a date.
And one more thing.
Okay, so now you got it. You're betting him a beer. You're both kind of smiling.
Yeah. So I started off with the less controversial, which is actually possibly even more so because this whole thing's a lie. Before I hit him with the Lawrence Livermore bit, but yeah.
All right, so you're kind of keeping it chummy a little bit in a way. Very good.
He's still smiling.
Yeah, he's grinning. Okay.
The basic physics.
Yeah. Back when you're Lawrence Livermore, you're on record as proposing putting pathogens into clouds to reign over enemy territory.
That's not true.
Oh, okay. That's not true. What was he saying? What's not true?
He says, well, afterwards he's saying, well, it was discussed, but it wasn't approved. But I said he was approving it, and he basically lied.
Yeah. Okay, so he's saying that. What is he saying?
Well, I said you're on record proposing putting pathogens in the clouds to rain on enemy territory, and he said that's not true. And then I busted him on it.
Okay, so here we're about to get busted here. Here we go.
I have audio.
Show me it.
I can play it to you. I got it on my iPhone.
Okay. I used to work at Lawrence Livermore National Lab, and I once participated in a meeting where we all sat around the room and thought about how could we manipulate geophysical systems to use it as a weapon.
Okay, so what are we listening to right now, this little clip?
This is a clip from back in 2007. He was interviewed, and he was very candid. He was saying what he was up to when he was at Lawrence Livermore doing all these creepy like weather warfare discussions. And he's talking about the stuff that he discussed. Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm going to play a little more of the clip just for people. We're going to do question and answer here in just a minute. If you want to call in, you can call into the phone console, and you can press *6. So if you're already phoned in, you can press *6 on your phone to enter the Q&A queue. Yeah, let's go ahead and play this clip, a little more of this clip.
The meeting was about weaponizing geophysical interventions. That means, could you somehow interfere in Earth's functioning in a way that you could use it as a military weapon? Could you change climate? What could you do in terms of manipulating the sort of Earth's physical systems as a weapon? Well, some of the ideas were okay. Maybe we could blow up hydrogen bombs, underwater, offshore, and make a tidal wave that would go over a city. And the result was, well, isn't it easier just to drop the hydrogen bombs on the city? Now you could imagine, though, say putting pathogens in a cloud, let the cloud, go over somewhere, and then it would rain down on your enemy and create, do chemical or term warfare in this kind of way. Yeah.
Okay, that was the clip where he's talking about warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Busted.
All right. Here.
And notice how casual he says it. We could just rain down an enemy territory. Yeah, you could. It's like what a monster.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I hear you.
It's true. Yeah.
He's not smiling right now.
So we were in a room, and somebody said, "Oh, if you wanted to sort of weaponize things, could you?" Right? And I was just, and the conclusion was basically no. So that's a different thing that I never advocated.
Absolutely, so but don't you agree that that would cause pause for people who find you proposing seeding clouds? In the past, you talked about putting pathogens.
No, I didn't. First of all, I didn't. First of all, I think you're putting words in my mouth.
No, I just played your words.
No. I said I was in a meeting where people brought up the issue of could you weaponize, geophysical systems, and the conclusion was no.
The conclusion was no.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Like citation needed. Like where's that? Where's the record of that?
I want to bring to everybody's attention too, as somebody who's a lifelong people watcher, the type of smile he has on his face, I call a denial smile. You ever see, and I've seen this for years in politics.
Absolutely. Actually, I've got another example of it. If you go to on stopsprayingus-sf.com, the first video you see is when John Fitzgerald confronted him last time.
Yep.
And the woman standing beside him has the same big Richter's lying sack of crap grin on her face too. It's the same one.
Yeah. It's funny because when people with a conscience, and he apparently has enough of a conscience where he's sweating a little bit, he's not totally there, maybe not totally gone, but he's still playing this role. But there's this denial, and you'll see this with politicians when they're confronted with something and they're about to lie, they'll grin.
Oh yeah.
Unless they're really, really, really good. The really, really, really good ones don't. But the ones
like Kissinger.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you'll see this grin on their face, and it's out of place. If you sit back and you look, it's like, why is he grinning right now? Because it's really not in the context of the conversation. All right,
if I've been accused of planning chemical warfare over cities, I wouldn't be smiling.
Yeah, I hear you. If you've got a question, you want to call in, contribute, ask a question, *6 on your phone. The dial-in number is 559-726-1300, and the access code is 156-230. Let's play another little bit of this, and we'll go to the next video that you were just talking about.
And if you're I could lie and say I wasn't in such a meeting. I could make up stories to you. This man accuses me of lying, so I don't talk to him anymore. And so if you want me, I'm just telling you the facts. I was in a room. People asked, could you weaponize geophysical systems? And the answer is no. Okay, and you're going to take a sentence out of context.
I'm not.
Okay, or this man or somebody will take a sentence out of context right now and put it on the web and take out the part that says.
So you don't find that could cause people concern?
I find it concerned that people take little clips of what I say, one sentence out of context, and put it on the web instead of putting the whole context of, and so.
That you were discussing weather warfare.
Well, I was in a room where it was brought up, and that the concluded that there was no way to do it. And you're not going to put that on the web. You're going to put the part that says, you'll put the part that says it was discussed, and you'll put out the part that says the idea was rejected. And I don't have a security clearance. I'm not in anything, there. I was in a room. Somebody brought it up. It was discussed briefly and rejected. And so because I'm open and talk about what I know, I have to suffer idiots taking little sound bites out of context and putting them on the web.
Ouch. He just called you a name.
Oh, I'm so hurt.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, there's a clip, and you said at 2:45 in the clip there was where he says no aluminum.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that. Let me see if tell me if I got the right place here.
We're talking about seeding the atmosphere with various substances, and we're not clear on.
Okay, what are we about to watch?
So this is during the Q&A session. Someone, one of the questions was like, this stuff you're going to be spraying in the atmosphere, is it poisonous? Is it can it hurt humans? And someone shouts in from the audience, "Oh yeah, like aluminum." And so the moderator asks Caldera, "Oh, so are you using aluminum?" And hit play.
Okay.
What impact they could have on people's health.
Okay, there. Sound like a woman from the audience said aluminum, for instance. So he said, what effect will it have on human health? A woman says aluminum, for instance, and here we go.
Yeah.
Is aluminum?
Yeah, aluminum's not. I don't know anybody who's done any research.
David Keith.
Okay, I don't know anybody who's done any research. Now, what's wrong with that statement?
Well, because he was standing right beside David Keith when he was talking about it. He was at that thing in San Diego when they discussed that paper that I was saying actually came from the San Diego meeting.
Yeah.
And he knows full well. Of course he does. And the person who yells out was John Fitzgerald, who's sitting beside me, and he yelled out, "Yeah, David Keith," So.
Now,
and then I play the bit from, it's actually on What in the World Are They Spraying? Ding Whittington calling, listening to David Keith's presentation about aerosolizing aluminum and.
Now let me just ask you this so everybody's clear. When David Keith was being asked by Dane Wigington, I didn't realize for the longest time that was Dane who actually asked him the question. But in that conference, that clip that's so famous because it's in the What in the World Are They Spraying movie, he was asked about aluminum. David Keith was asked about aluminum, and he says we haven't done any research.
No, we haven't published anything.
We haven't published anything. Okay.
Yeah. No, but actually, when you hit play, David Keith. Actually, this might not be in the movie. David Keith is saying we have a whole slew of evidence on aluminum because it's used in shuttle exhausts.
Okay.
And then he said, "Oh, and we also have the ways of spraying it. We got this company, Aurora Flight Systems, who've given us all this stuff, and we can, but it's very."
So where does David Keith say that we have a whole slew of stuff on aluminum?
Hit play.
It's coming up on this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
David Keith in San Diego talked about it. Are you kidding me?
Turns out, first of all, there's been a lot.
Okay, so we're about to cut away to David Keith. Somebody from the audience got brave. Do you know who that was?
Oh, that was John Fitzgerald.
That was John.
Yeah.
Okay, and who's
actually, if you looked at his body language, because he turns around and like, holy crap, is that dude?
All right, let's go back and take a look at that then. Okay, we're at 3. Let's go back a few seconds. All right, here we go.
David Keith in San Diego talked about it. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, it's like, oh boy, here we go, right? All right, so here comes the clip from David Keith.
It turns out, first of all, there's been a lot of work on the environmental consequences of aluminum in the stratosphere because it's in shuttle exhaust. The little picture is from a nanofabrication study, which shows you can make very high quality and do this in just a jet in a very simple way, make high-quality aluminum particles just by spraying aluminum vapor out, which oxidizes. So it's certainly, in principle, possible to do that. There's a big literature that's already looked at that.
Okay, there's a big literature that's already looked at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently the Caldera says that there's been none. He doesn't know anybody who's done any research in aluminum.
All right, let's see what else he says.
We've been doing a little work on delivery. There's a study that an aircraft engineering firm called Aurora Flight Sciences is doing, and all the results of that study will be completely public. There's nothing proprietary about this. We're going to be inviting people in for a mid-study meeting soon. And they've been looking at a bunch of different delivery options, but the bottom line is that it seems pretty cost-effective and easy to do this with aircraft that are not very different from conventional aircraft. So
for aluminum or other particles, there are a lot of toxicological things that need to get looked at seriously. But if you're just thinking about the sheer number of particles and the human health impact of small particles, the answer is, well, we haven't published it. That was the first thing we looked at with some leading experts who do epidemiological research on human health impacts.
Okay.
Yeah.
What just happened there? What just happened?
So yeah, basically it was, that's just him being proven. Well, he got caught in a lie, a bold-faced lie, and of course, when you see the final shot with Keith talking on the left-hand side of the screen, there's Ken Caldera standing, like smiling like a lying sack or whatever.
Right, with a dark suit on, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's actually, I recognize the guy on the right. He's like Roddie or Road. He's another guy. I saw him in a video. The guy who's standing on the right with the kind of the gray suit on. I saw him in a video where he's outside trying to tell everybody that the trails are contrails. And
actually, he was the one who introduced Keith from the clip in What in the World They Sprang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his name's on the new YouTube video, which I'm about to finish up.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's do a little more of this, and then let's look at your next one.
And then this rolls back, and this actually then turns into the question where we started.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. So that's
the gist of it.
So to summarize this, basically, they have lots of research about the harmful effects of aluminum.
Well, actually, there's very little published on it. Although they have published on nanoparticulate aluminum. There's the rat study, and there's another lung study from the Air Force, which is more for people in the Air Force who actually have to handle these materials, and they don't say a whole lot. But it's like you say, the smaller the particle, the more bioactive it is. And aluminum has been tied to, Alzheimer's and God knows what else. It passes the blood-brain barrier. David Keith published a paper on nanoparticulate aluminum, which was 1/50,000th the width of a human hair, and that goes straight through the blood-brain barrier. It's I don't need a scientist to tell me this is toxic, and that's just one ingredient.
Yeah.
And all these and these guys, they're just frontmen, because if you look at Caldera's literature, he's got dozens and dozens of papers when he's talking about solar radiation management. The one he's doing lots of things about how it might help crops grow better. He's got some really bad research. His argument is, well, if it's like 15 degrees warmer, yeah, it's gonna crops in Africa are gonna be scorched. But if we spray, it's gonna help. Whatever.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And you know what that reminds me of is I saw there was actually when all this autism mercury controversy was really hot, and Andrew Wakefield was being looked at, and of course he's been vindicated now because he's telling the truth. But they MSN, I think it was, or MSNBC actually ran a video, a news article on mainstream media saying that mercury just might be good for children.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like, mercury is one of the most studied substances in the world. We have volumes going back into the 1800s. It goes back further, but in the 1800s they knew the toxicity. It's like there's always two camps. We know the toxicity of aluminum, but we're going to try to treat syphilis with it. We know the toxicity of aluminum, but we're going to give it to kids anyway. We're going to put it in this teething powder. It's just, people say, oh, it's schizophrenic and the left hand isn't talking to the right hand. You've got to come to a point where you understand, when you understand how these things work, that this is not an accident. Anybody could go open a book and learn how toxic mercury is, but why has it been vehemently defended? Because they're making billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars treating the diseases that are being caused. And in the same way, we now have aluminum that's being introduced, and whatever else, God knows what other chemicals, barium induces heart attacks, is used to induce heart attacks
and sterilizes mammals.
In laboratory animals, it's used to induce heart attacks and sterilization.
And sterilized mammals.
And so does mercury, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, the research, I mean, the program went into full scale in '98. The Hughes-Welsbach patents from '65, that's as old as me. So, and now they're talking about, let's consider using aluminum. They were talking about aluminum back in the mid-'60s. This is old stuff. These guys are just out there to put a pretty green face on it. So whenever people do finally realize, they'll say, oh, it's to protect us from the nasty weather.
And I want to say, too, aluminum is very inflammatory.
Like if you look at the forest fires in Southern California, you talk to firefighters, they say the trees just explode.
Yeah.
It's really sketchy. It's nasty, nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Anything, flour is very fine. That's explosive. The finer the particle, the more explosive it is.
That's right. And I was in talking about it also induces inflammation in humans. Yep. And one thing that people hear inflammation, it sounds like an innocent little, oh, you've got some inflammation, poor you. Inflammation kills.
Oh, absolutely. Encephalitis. Inflammation,
Right. And chronic inflammation over a long period of time, you're depriving yourself of oxygen, you're killing your heart tissue. It can raise blood pressure to dangerous levels. This is one thing that happens to me when they spray this stuff they're spraying right now. Fortunately, I can still function right now, but when you talk, I'm still holding my washcloth over my face, and I do this every night. So everybody who's listening, I am your canary, and I'm telling you the truth about the stuff that's being sprayed.
Look, if you look at the drug commercials, they're pushing statins, blood pressure's off the charts. What else? If you got asthma medication, way off the charts. They're talking about vaccines for Alzheimer's now, autism, all that stuff. Well, they actually don't sell drugs for autism, but if you look at the drugs, you can see what they're doing to us.
Well, can you imagine? Here we are. It's a classic example of you create the problem and then you profit from the solution.
Yeah.
Instead of undoing the cause of the problem, they introduce something they can profit from as a proposed solution for the problem. Hegelian dialectic, basically, or.
I see it as even more sinister than that. A lot of people put it just down to profit, but there's other ways of profiting than killing everybody. They could rip us off, which they're doing as well.
Well, they're depopulating.
Exactly.
What else?
Who's one of the biggest depopulation fans is Bill Gates, who funds this guy, who I confronted.
Right.
You don't have to play seven degrees of separation to Kevin Bacon. They're all very tight.
Exactly. That's good illustration. I remember a movie called 6 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah.
I remember when I believed that they got Bill Gates when it all started is they came after his company, and I was
no, it goes further back. His father was
no, I know it does, but I think he might have been resistant to doing some things they wanted him to do, because I think when they recruit some people, it's scary. And so they came after his company, and he even publicly said these people are mean. They were going to divide Microsoft up into 1,000 pieces and destroy the company. And then all of a sudden, it vanished. The antitrust thing vanished. It went away. Nobody asked any more questions. And I think what happened at that point is he gave in and said, "Okay, I'm going to do it."
He took his 30 pieces of silver, like so many people have done.
Exactly. Because I think these people, when they do get in it, some of them are scared. It's like Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo who really was the founder of Restore the Republic, which is now headed by Gary Franchi, who knew Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo was approached by the Rockefeller family, by one of the Rockefeller sons.
But then he made the mistake of saying, "Oh, this is what they told me."
Oh yeah, then Aaron
then suddenly dead.
Well, then Aaron Russo got cancer, and it's very, very sad. But he was approached, and Rockefeller said something's going to happen. There's going to be a big event, and then we're going to pass all kinds of legislation that implements everything to suppress people and eventually leads to chipping everybody. And he specifically said, we're going to chip everybody for the purpose of control. If you don't behave, we're going to turn off your chip, and you're basically poor and you can't function in society anymore. That's what Aaron Russo
said. We're pretty much there now. I mean, here in San Francisco, you have Google Wallet showing up in lots of stores, so you pay with your phone.
Yeah.
Which is creepy. But I think the other thing about the Russo thing, it's revelation of method. These guys, the scumbags, always tell us what they're going to do to us before we do it. And it's a legalistic thing. So it's in their eyes, informed consent. Well, we told you didn't say anything against it, so that's permission for us to do it.
Right.
And this is partly what this this Caldera guy is doing. Say, hey, but yeah, we told you we're going to do this. So what's the problem? So I think what we, as awake people to this stuff, we got to let them know loud and clear in official channels, I do not consent to this. That's actually very important because they're kind of legalistic. So they, oh crap, we got to somehow get them to agree now. Oh no, how do we do that? So
right. In fact, the whole, and this opens up a big can of worms, because the whole thing about people as property and your Social Security number is all based on, supposedly informed consent, but yet you really don't know. So you can't really hold a person to a contract who doesn't understand the terms, but they're doing it anyway.
Yeah. So they try to bulldoze over, but they still ridiculously always do tell you. Like for example, with the 9/11 stuff, there was that lone gunman episode where they're about to fly jets into the World Trade Center, which aired a few months before 9/11, and there's plenty more examples of things which later showed up to be kind of bogus. Or for example, like the Sandy Hook thing, it was written on a map in the Batman movie, and they always tell you what they're going to do.
Yeah, there was a lot of I've seen a lot of 9/11 pre.
Oh, it was all over the place.
Yeah, it really was all over the place. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a caller. Okay. Hold on just a second, caller. I want to play one more clip, and then let's get to you. I'm looking at stopsprayingus-fsf.com.
For San Francisco, yeah.
Let me say that so it's clear to everybody. Stop spraying us dash S as in San Francisco and F as in Francisco. S as in Sam, F as in Frank.com. Stop spraying us -sf.com. Check their website out. Which video do you want to play next?
So yeah, this is just John confronting him. Let me see. It starts.
Which video is it?
The first video, it says spraying San Francisco, exposing the geoengineers.
Okay, let me bring that forward here.
Right, and it's at 4 minutes 50 seconds.
Okay, and just so everybody knows, here's what I go through as evidence of our spraying. Here we are. It's 10:15 Eastern time. I've got a pretty nasty headache right now. My sinuses are swelling up. You might be able to hear it in my voice. I mean, they're 80% swollen. I've got pain behind my eyes. My joints and muscles are hurting. My brain is getting unclear. My blood pressure is rising. This is whatever they're spraying, this is what it's doing to me. And they do this every night. They have for, I guess, for months now. The schedule was different before then, but this has been their schedule. And so most people get tired when they spray this stuff. I see everybody's yawning. And they get tired and think, oh, it's late at night. It's tired. And I think that's by design. That's by design. And they keep it just below the level so that other people can't smell and taste it. That's by design. When it gets really, really, really overwhelming for me, which is not very often, then other people around me start saying, yeah, I can taste metal in the air, or I can taste something. It's weird. But they don't do that very often. They know where the threshold is. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just want to put that little footnote in there because this is by design. This is calculated. they know what they're doing. All right, so 4 minutes into this clip, or where?
Hang on, sorry. It is, I think it was 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay, so let me get in 450 here. 450. All
And
right,
this is John Fitzgerald.
Okay, and what's going to set it up for us a little bit? What are we going to see?
So again, this was a couple of years ago in 2011. There was another so-called debate on geoengineering. Caldera was there, and my friend John Fitzgerald, who's running for Congress, just went up and asked him a few questions, and you'll see how that went.
Okay.
What's clearly going on? If I may, I got a question. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, my dad and I used to look at clouds all the time. We would see the cumulus clouds, you see cirrus clouds. Now, everybody's talking about it. You see these long striations throughout the sky. You see planes, wait, hold on a second. You see planes from horizon to horizon, and these things don't dissipate. They expand, they contract, and they make the entire sky milky. And I believe you're in the film, What in the World Are They Spraying? You're at the symposium in San Diego, and Dane Whittington, who's an expert in solar energy, who owns 2,000 acres in Shasta, his energy is completed 60% solar energy, 60%. They do all these tests, they're peer-reviewed reports too, I believe, you're scientists. And they show you that strontium, barium, and magnesium and aluminum have skyrocketed throughout Shasta County, and they notice it's happening in generally the NATO countries. So what is that? If you guys aren't doing this geoengineering, what the hell is it then?
First of all, I don't know if you're I think it's just normal jet contrast, but I don't really.
Okay, I can't hear most of what he's saying, but the last thing he says, I think that's mostly jet contrails.
Yeah, it's a standard BS line. The audio is not terrific, but he tries to deny it. But then John just keeps pounding him with facts, and then he scampers away like a little girl. Rather nice.
Well, let me play a little bit more, and let me add this footnote. And I know everybody who are regulars, I sound like a broken record, but to the people who are new, because we're reaching new people here, there's going to be a lot of people who hear this interview. Watch the sky all my life. I've never seen a trail come out of a jet engine. I used to collect pictures of jets, commercial and military, thousands of pages. Drove every corner of the United States, lived on military bases, used to go to Zephyr Hills drop zone and other drop zones, used to go up, fly private planes, took solo flight lessons. My whole life has been about the sky. At least my passion has been about the sky. And not once ever in my life, in all my flying, all my driving, all my sky watching, all my picture collecting, all my military base, everywhere I've been, I've never seen a trail come out of a jet engine ever. Not once ever. Never have I seen a trail come out of a jet engine.
Before 98.
Before the first time I saw it was in 2003 in Yosemite. I was coming back from a conference, from a convention, and stopped in Yosemite, just to take a little mini vacation, and that's the first time I ever saw them. And then 2005 is when they started spraying Jamestown, New York daily, and I immediately smelled and tasted them, and immediately it was on the internet, and within minutes I was like, this is what they're doing. So as soon as I smelled and tasted them, I was onto it.
But I'm pretty sure it's not climate. It's just that I don't think the Bush administration, I think Cheney cares enough about climate to have a secret program to try to address the climate issue.
I don't think Cheney cares enough about climate to have a secret program, he said.
Yeah, that's his only defense. Pretty weak. He uses it all the time. There's several interviews where he comes up with it. Cheney's nasty, so it can't be happening. It's like that.
And I just love repeating the words: the largest crime against humanity in human history right now. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen yesterday. It's happening right now.
Oh, and just look up. Whoever's out there listening to this, just go outside, look up. You'll probably see some.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever they're playing this, I mean, you might get a clear day, but look at how you might have some very long straight clouds, and that's an odd shape of a cloud, and little crosses, and all. Yeah, there's plenty of there's so much evidence. It's ridiculous anyone even trying to deny it.
I took about 3 years of time lapse photography because I wanted a large collection of this, and guess what? even the clouds that look like those weak, I call them lame cumulus. Now, cumulus are beautiful clouds. They're the big, majestic clouds. They rise up and they thrust up in the center because you've got the warm air from the ground. When the ground heats up, the warm air comes up and thrusts into the colder layer of air, and it condenses, and you get these beautiful structures. Very, very nice. Makes for a beautiful sky. Good stuff, natural stuff. What I have in the time lapse is we have these wimpy little cumulus that are very diffused in the edges. They're small, but guess what the giveaway is, Patrick, to me?
Black contrast, carbon black contrail underneath. They'll heat it up, and then you get a massive cumulus.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm seeing in the time lapse that I've taken, and I've got this. If you go to globalskywatch.com and you scroll down the homepage, there's a video down. It's a long video. It's a 90-minute video that is a large collection of my time lapse, and it's called 3 Years of Chemtrails in Bangor, Maine. The clouds are spinning backwards instead of thrusting up in the center. What's happening is that the particulates that are being dropped are falling down, pushing air down from the colder layer into the warmer layer, and the clouds are spinning backwards. And it's not a very effective way to create clouds, at least not in whatever particulates they were using at that time. So in this time lapse, the clouds are spinning backwards. Instead of thrusting up at the center, they're falling down in the center. And to me, I'm just like, that's, of course, that because the massive number of particulates that they're dropping are.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you going to say something? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no. I was just watching your video.
Okay, caller, hold on just a sec. We're going to get to you. Let me just finish this clip, and then let's get to the caller.
Do you think President Obama cared?
No, I don't think, not really.
Okay, but does President Obama care? For those who can't hear the audio, he says, no, I don't think.
I can't stand that.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, what I'm saying is, I think that, and I've talked to people, who have military backgrounds saying, oh, well, do you think it's maybe part of some radar interference thing? And, and they said, well, no, there were experiments on that, like with World War II, putting particles out to interfere with radar, but that experiments, nobody's doing that anymore.
But
All right,
Anyway, yeah, it's all on the website. People can go to stopsprayingus-sf.com and see the whole thing.
Yeah, go check it out. Wow, this is the largest aerial operation in human history. The United States has, if I remember right, 470 tankers, perhaps, or 370 or 470. They're leasing 100. This is all from military news. They're leasing 100. At least that's what they're openly admitting to leasing. And now they currently have 179 tankers being built. And what was a split contract between Boeing and Airbus, which is Airbus is the large European.
Are they trying to say it's for refueling? Yes.
Here's the cover story is that they're going to get rid of their old tankers. I don't believe that for a second. They're still using 707s. In fact, the tanker that crashed a couple years ago that made big news.
The Omega one.
The Omega one, yeah. The Omega tank, that was a 707.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't believe for a second. That's just the cover story that they got to replace their aging tankers.
And how creepy is using Omega?
That opens up a big can of worms.
Yeah. Like the end.
Exactly. And there's a lot of that symbolism. But my point that I want to tell everyone is that if you think that they plan on stopping this soon, then you're really fooling yourself because they're having 179 new tankers built as you speak. They're leasing 100. That's what they admit to. I believe it's a lot higher than that. They have an inventory of, if I remember right, 370 or 470, something like that. And to add on top of that, they're teaching your kids in American schools that these trails that they see in the sky are natural condensation trails. So if you think that they're doing this in a short-term plan to stop in the next few years, we're all fooling ourselves. We need to get out there and we need to be active and raise the awareness to the public because I don't believe they have any plans on stopping this anytime soon.
Not at all. And in fact, in the original video, at the end of the video with my confrontation, John's talking. He mentions at the end that someone he knows, I won't say who works at Boeing. He says that everyone at Boeing knows about it. and they talk about it. They don't talk about it when they're at work, but outside of work, they all know about it and talk about it.
Yeah,
And
Dane says a lot of similar things where when he talks to people, these people all know. The meteorologists know, the senators and congressmen know. It's just that they're being completely quiet about it. We've got a caller. If you want, anyone else want to ask a question, get a question in. Chat with Patrick for a second before we wrap up. Press *6 on your phone. Yeah, let me take this caller here. Hi, caller. I know who you are.
Hi, how are you guys?
Oh, hanging in there.
Okay.
Got a headache now, thanks to the chemtrails that just were thrown on us the last 30 minutes. So I'm not feeling too dandy. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So I wanted to augment this and draw everyone's attention, and I will give Russ the link for this so that everyone can watch this particular video, which is a video clip from the Science and Technology Subcommittee's meeting in 2010 with these very psychopathic, the same guys, it's Keith and Caldera, where they met in front of the House Science and Technology Subcommittee with regard to geoengineering. Now, during that meeting, and again, Russ this, I think everybody should watch this. The politicians on both sides of the aisle, both Democrats and Republicans, were asking the very, very pointed questions about, wait a minute, wouldn't this be a human and environmental risk for doing this operation? Again, same two scientists. They are backed by the Carnegie Foundation, which Bill Gates is behind, and Monsanto, and the whole cast of characters. I think everybody needs to watch this because it was shortly thereafter when those congressmen started asking the correct questions about the risk involved in doing this. John Holdren, who is President Obama's science and technology, quote, czar, unquote, removed oversight from the House Science and Tech Committee. He now has control of this. There is no congressional oversight. That was removed officially from them. That meeting was in 2010. On January 1st of 2011, Holdren took a hold of this, and now it's completely covert. So I'm going to give Russ that link so that everyone can watch this. This is a further confirmation of these same guys with congressmen asking the pointed questions. I also have a link in my legal research to a group of lawyers in Washington, D.C. that do due diligence and research for Congress, and it's a group of attorneys out there. I'll give the link to that because they also examined the risk factors of these proposed quote-unquote programs with regard to geoengineering, and they came to the same conclusion that this would be very hazardous to human health and the ecosystem. So I think these are two things that everybody needs to take a look at and make themselves familiar with for further educating themselves with regard to, the present day administration and what's gone down out there. My second comment is with regard to what Kelly had to say earlier. It is a revolving door. The former general counsel of Monsanto is now the head of the FDA. And my fourth comment is that there is a law firm in San Francisco. Now, Kelly and Patrick are in San Francisco. This is why I'm bringing this up. I'm trading voicemails with these attorneys. This law firm is called Morrison and Forrester. They're known as MoFo in San Francisco. They have taken on a class action case on behalf of the Vietnam Veterans of America for damages caused from Agent Orange. Agent Orange being the chemical poison that was used in Vietnam and to, eradicate the citizens of that country, and a lot of the soldiers had detrimental health effects. They are taking on a class action case. The named defendants in that lawsuit are the Department of Defense, the CIA, the Army, the Navy, the United States government.
I know of no other law firm in all of my legal research that has had the balls to go after the U.S. government. I am trying to get a hold of them to see if they will come on board with us and file some type of an injunctive relief for us in federal court in San Francisco. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Lexi.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I got their website is actually mofo.com.
Yeah, they're known as Mofo, that's right.
Yeah.
And like I say, guys, you know, as most people know, most of the regular activists that are on this call, that I have been searching throughout the United States diligently, trying to get lawyers on board here. One lawyer in Sacramento, he and I put together some FOIA requests to NOAA, to John Holdren's office, to the Army, the Air Force, because we know the Air Force is implementing this. With all the key terms, solar radiation management, and I mean everything that the government uses for the purposes of this operation. And we got nothing back. NOAA claimed they had nothing on file. We at least got that response. But Holdren, nothing. We got nothing from him. And he is at the apex of this operation, ladies and gentlemen. He is a known published eugenicist. I don't know whether you showed the clip earlier of Luke, the great journalist, We Are Change from New York City, did go in and nail Holdren just recently as well. But John Holdren is the bad guy.
He's a monster.
You know, at the top of this operation, which definitely is a Pentagon operation. This is military-industrial complex. And that's who's running our country, you guys. It's not these elected officials. It's the military-industrial complex that has taken hold of our country, and we got to get it back. I believe, and I was having a conversation with Richard Sachs last night, that we need to appeal to the pilots that are deploying in these jets, implementing the program. We really need to appeal to them with regard to the fact that they have families, they're all breathing this air. Nobody is going to survive this, you know, no matter what their bosses have told them. We're all breathing this stuff. So I'm hoping that we can work on in a you know, the kindest, gentlest way we can to the actual pilots, the military pilots with the Air Force and all the subcontractors to stop. If the pilots don't do it, then, you know, if they refuse to do it, then there's no jet spraying. So that's all. I'm sorry. I'm yammering. Sorry.
No, that's good. Great information.
That's awesome. Actually, unfortunately, I got to chime in. I think they're phasing out pilots. It's going to be mostly drone, and I think it probably is largely drone right now. So we need to really go after the pilots and, you know, everyone involved and the people who fill the tankers and maintenance and air traffic control and it's a huge operation. There's a lot of people we can get, and it can only carry on as long as the people continue supporting it.
Exactly. I mean, the people who want this to happen, who are financing it, let's say, of course, the American people ultimately, or the people of whatever country where it's happening, where would these people be if nobody actually did the job? If nobody would fly, if nobody would fill the tankers, if the manufacturers would stop manufacturing? You know, they're all sold out to money, and it's hard. I know that Kelly brought up about, you know, you've got your job, you've got to support your family, and people say, well, if I quit my job, what difference is it going to make? You know, I do appreciate that we do have one whistleblower that was on Alex Jones today, was Christian Megan. She was only on for 15 minutes. I was bummed she didn't have more time on, but she was on, got some exposure there, which was great, and she's a whistleblower. Well, Patrick, we probably should wrap this up here in just a minute. I do want to share a couple things, and we'll real quick. I've got a wonderful activist in Maine who sent me some photos just before or a photo just before I went on. I want to show you these caps, say no GMOs, no chemtrails, wake up. I think this is just great. We should be wearing this. In fact, that's one of my next goals, is to have apparel that we can wear. And again, it's a matter of money. I'm trying to, you know, take any any profits that come from the sale of bumper stickers and then put it into the next project. So, you know, hopefully when this batch of bumper stickers is sold out, maybe I can get some shirts and stuff. Or maybe someone else can if they want to get involved, or we could do it together if you want to contact me. But nevertheless, here's some really cool caps that get the message across. We need to reach people who don't know, because you know what? Most people in the public haven't even heard the term chemtrails or geoengineering yet. When I bring it up to strangers in public, I don't know. I haven't met a person yet that I've told, who has known the word, who has heard the word before. So we need to reach people. We've got to reach people, and that's why I'm so thankful for all of the protesters and for the people and everywhere. And Kim, thank you for your picture of the caps that you made. Let's wear them. Let's Kim, you should go into business. I bet you get a lot of people buy those things. Well, I'll tell you what. We've been on 2 hours. We've had a lot of energy. It's been a very busy week. You guys have been getting nailed in California. I've heard from a bunch of people in California that you've been getting hit really, really hard.
It's horrendous.
Yes. Yeah. What do you want to say? What do you want to say to people, Patrick?
It takes very little to stand up. When you actually confront these people, you sort of assume that they're in a position of authority. They're going to be big and scary, but they're wusses, a total paper tiger. You can just ask them a straightforward question. And because, like, there was this fantastic, We Are Change Chicago did this wonderful thing with Al Gore. He had a book signing, and they all got in line in different places in the book signing line. And when it got to each person's turn, they just confront them and say, "Hey, what about ClimateGate or whatever?" And that person gets thrown out. And then a few more down, another person, then another person, and another person. And I want to make these people not comfortable dealing with the public, because they don't know who's woken up, and they don't know if they're going to be stepping on a truth landmine, and they should be uncomfortable, and we should just.
Patrick, are you saying that mass murder should be uncomfortable for those performing the mass murder? I'd have to agree with you on that one. I think you're right on.
And these scumbags, they show up, they do lectures. I mean, there's tons of them. I mean, for a starting point, you can just go to cfr.org and then look at their member list, and then just see if they're doing any book or any lecture things, and just go up and just call them on, "Hey, your organization has approved this monstrous program. What's your position on it?" And they go, "Ugh," and call them all on it. They should not be comfortable. So.
Why don't you remind people about your upcoming event there in San Francisco?
Oh, yeah, it's always the last Wednesday of the month, which is the 29th, I believe, this month. It's last Wednesday.
Yep, 29th.
And it's 11 a.m. at the San Francisco City Hall on the Van Ness side. And we have updates on our website, which is stopsprayingus-sf for San Francisco.com. And you'll find all the videos of previous protests and whatnot on there too.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. And there's a link to our and also on the top in the banner there's the Facebook link will bring us to our Facebook group where we do it all. So
awesome.
That's it.
Awesome. There's a couple. There's a little bit of icing. I mean, this has been a great talk tonight. A lot of energy, because people are getting sick and tired. We're all getting the heck sprayed out of us. I want everybody to listen real quick to this little clip from this Council on Foreign Relations meeting that we got a hold of a couple days ago. Check this out. I'm going to forward us to where it happens at 2:40 here. Here we go.
Big trouble.
Take a listen to this, everybody, because there's a lot of disinformation out there. And a lot of people, especially some of my personal friends I've known for years, have trouble believing in disinformation. I had a guy call me last year who had a military buddy who was set up in business with 200 people in cubicles who make fake Facebook accounts, fake websites, and spread disinformation as they're instructed to do. And he is making a whole bunch of money from this, bought a big house, and was bragging to his military buddy. Well, his military buddy was a little put off by the fact that he was basically selling his soul, and called me and told me all about it. This is the way that it works. Now here, listen to this little clip. We're gonna close shop up here in a minute.
Well, you should also mention that the writing on the wall behind says CFR. It's actually at the Council on Foreign Relations at Scumbag Central.
You guys crack me up. Okay, here you go.
Clearer than we currently have, it would get us there.
So just a couple of quick elaborations. First of all, of course, there is a lot of money getting spent to make sure that a very substantial portion of the public stays totally confused about this.
All right, let me just cut that off right there so everybody knows. Do you believe disinformation is organized and going on and funded? Listen to what this guy, this is from the Council on Foreign Relations, which is one of the most influential groups in the world. First of all, of course, this is the quote of what he just said. First of all, of course, there's a lot of money getting spent to make sure that a very substantial portion of the public stays totally confused about this. Let that sink in. A substantial amount of a lot of money getting spent, and when these guys talk about a lot of money, they mean a lot of money, to make sure that.
Well, also, actually, right after he says that, he says it's really quite pernicious, which is even more damning, I think.
I'll read the rest of it, and I mean here's what he. Well, let me play it.
It's been really quite pernicious, but there's been literally tens of millions of dollars spent on every little thing that comes along that might relate to some uncertainty. And
okay, so let me recap that because it's kind of quiet. I have the volume turned up all the way, but it's a quiet video. Here's what he says, and I mean it's really quite pernicious, but there's been literally tens of millions of dollars spent on every little thing that comes along that might, relate to some uncertainty. What does that mean, Patrick?
COINTELPRO, basically. It's the shields that you see. There's a program the Israelis use called Project Megaphone, which they have bots which are searching forums constantly and looking for a keyword. The Israelis will look for mentions of anything which they might deem as anti-Semitic or criticizing Israel, and then it alerts a whole army of people waiting at their keyboards, and they'll all jump on the forum and beat somebody up, and they'll forum slide. There's if you look up logical fallacies, there's actually a website that lists all the logical fallacies, and they use them all, and they'll yell, they'll forum slide, they'll just so the Cyber Command. The U.S. Army Cyber Command has a crazy budget. It's huge. So I'm pretty sure they're used as well. So you'll find, you'll often on like YouTube videos, you'll get tons of people just piling on, and they'll just throw stuff at you so fast. If you're not on top of them, beating them back down with facts, it'll look like the majority of people out there think, oh, chemtrails, you must be one of these crazy people. And so people who are new to it, and they go to a website or a YouTube video or something, and they see, well, most people think that it's crazy, so I shouldn't really believe it. You got to be on top of these guys. You just got to beat them up with the facts. And they bury themselves. Like the CFR, but like this clip that you just played, we have so much information. We beat them with truth, and don't feel threatened by them, because they'll try and provoke you to being angry, but you got to remember that these guys are cutting and pasting. They aren't angry. They're just earning their $30 an hour or whatever they get in some in a sort of air conditioned trailer in Utah. So don't let them get a rise out of you, and just beat them up with the facts, and it's quite satisfying. I like doing that.
Well said. Yeah, well said. I've noticed you like doing that, Patrick. I've caught on to that.
Yeah, you never piss off an Irishman.
I love it. I want to share this picture on the stream. If you look on the stream now, this is Max Bliss. Everybody knows who Max Bliss is from the UK. They're on the Chugaboom tour right now. He sent me this picture, and of a big big poster on the side of a house, and he said, "Do you think anybody will notice this?" I said, "Max, that is awesome. I'm going to show it on tonight's conference." So thank you to Max. Thank you to Kelly Daugherty. Thank you to Patrick Roddie. Patrick, you're fearless.
No, I don't think I am that fearless. It's just perfectly normal. If someone is threatening you harm, you just say stop. You know. That's all it is really.
Well, it comes easy to you, but you know I know what it is like to be afraid, because I had mercury poisoning in the first half of my life, and mercury makes you afraid. It makes you panicky, claustrophobic, depressed. It really suppresses your emotions, and it causes a lot of fear. And I think people need to learn to overcome that fear and understand that it is your right to breathe clean air. It's not a right that government gives you. It's a right that you're born with. These are not rights that are doled out by your government that says, "Oh, here, we're going to be nice and give you something. So if we take it away, that's okay." No, it has nothing to do with that. It's something you're born with, and nobody has a right to take it away. And if you're under some kind of, let's get technical, but if you're under some kind of terms of contract and they say, "We've given you, you've been informed that we're taking your rights away, therefore it's acceptable under the terms of these contracts." Not everybody's going to know what I'm talking about right now, but it's not, because you don't understand the contract. You don't even know that it exists, much less understand the terms and the ramifications of it. So it's not a moral binding contract. Nevertheless, stop spraying us. Stop spraying us -SF for sanfrancisco.com. Visit their website, watch their videos. May 29th, 11 a.m. on the Van Ness side of San Francisco City Hall, last Wednesday of every month. May 29th.
And we may be doing other ones, which we'll just post on the group or the website as they come along. Because I agree with Kelly. Like, once a month isn't enough. We're going to do more things and show up at the EPA or wherever. Just hassle, keep at them.
I agree. A few weeks ago, I was proposing that every week. And it doesn't have, you don't have, not saying people have to go out. If you've got a weekend off, then you go out that weekend and take the next couple weekends off, or do it as you see fit. But I would love to see people in Bangor, Maine, on the street corners with signs every weekend on busy corners, and just get the public educated.
Yeah.
Listen, we're on every Monday night at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 12:30 a.m. London time. If you want to phone in the future, it's 559-726-1300. The access code is 156230. If you want all this information, you can read it off our website at globalskywatch.com/live. Please join us next week. We're going to be here at the same time. Thank you so much to Kelly. Thank you to Patrick. Thanks, Lexi. You guys are doing a wonderful work. Please put a bumper sticker on your car or in your business or in your house or wherever. Get a sign in your front yard. Make up some shirts, and we'll promote them for you. I don't care. It's not about money. It's about getting the word out there. Or we'll make up shirts if nobody else does. Everybody in the public needs to understand the word geoengineering and chemtrails. Send people to globalskywatch.com or to endgeoengineering.com, which is it's a website specifically designed. It's very simple to be easy to navigate, to introduce new people to this subject. Guys, you have a good night. Patrick.
And you.
Kelly, thank you for all that you do too. Lexi, I know you're still on the line. Thank you for what you do. You guys have a good night. Please join us next week, and let's get the word out about this. After I shut down the recording, you can all chat freely if you like. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.